Today is the, I think the 28th of September. We are here at Gig Harbor again, but this time it's because we were hauled out and I had to have the cutlass bearings replaced, some shaft work done, got some vibration yet in the engine. Gonna need to have the front motor mounts on the engine replaced, but we are here. That's where we got hauled out, was up there 2 weeks ago. They've kindly put us up here at the guest dock because they're going to need to be working on this again, but they tried to clean it up some. We have hauled in the wood for the heat air conditioning exchange issue we got going on and additions we're putting on. It's been a hectic day since this afternoon, so I'm going to go down below. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it does get darker down here, but this has become our mess for the night, probably the weekend. But Rick is busy at work trying to get at least the forward units figured out, worked on, ductwork, holes drilled, etc. Forward berth now has become the catch-all for a ton of things. Working on the water lines now. Every counter surface, every seat surface.
I feel like a hoarder.
You are a hoarder.
A hoarder, not a, you know.
I didn't say that one. I just said hoarder, not anything else. I put the "der" on it. And it's just like, why do you men have to do this? I mean, can you really answer that for me? Why do men have to do this everywhere, and I've got to keep it somewhat livable, somewhat. Try to cook, try to keep up with the sawdust, and get him to go outside to cut wood. Yeah, we got it.
This is all for you. This is for your comfort.
Oh wait, it's not just for my comfort, Mr. Dunbar. If that's the case, we would never have to leave the dock, and we don't plan to stay on the dock. So, you know, down here in the abyss, and he's working on making some epoxy stuff to mount the next unit onto. So that's been in here curing all day and working all day. Hey everybody, it is October the 7th, I believe, and we've been working on getting our heat AC units installed. This is kind of a common position to see Rick, although usually he's deep down in the holes, but we got the front one in, so there's our vent coming in. This one is the 16,000 BTU that's in. It will heat the saloon area and the forward head and V-berth up in there. And let me open this up and I'll show you. This is the cold air return, obviously, but there is the unit and ductwork. I did have to sacrifice storage, but I guess we'll figure that out as we go. Figured out the best way to route the ductwork and everything, so I didn't lose all of my storage that's under here, which I really need. I won't open that up and show you, but just so you know. And we've got, oh, sorry, coming forward. The heat air vent comes out down here. So it actually will heat the head. And it will also heat my massive mess in the V-berth. This is, oh, there. This is one of the units before it gets installed. I'm sorry about the picture, just not the best light in here. It's sitting here ready to go in. The aft cabin, it is a 10,000 BTU, which will heat the aft cabin and aft head. And I've got ductwork plus here. I got ductwork here. Won't need near all of that to get the aft one installed. But let me go forward. I mean aft, sorry, I was forward. I get so confused in this boat. You know, there's so much space. Can't figure out if I'm going forward or backwards. But anyway, let me try to get a light. Since I have to go around tools and all kinds of stuff to get back in here. Get a light on. And I get another light on. Maybe I can get a little light on the subject. And this light. So the next unit, which is, that's the hoses for. The next unit goes in this hanging locker. Yep, I gotta sacrifice part of my hanging locker. This hanging locker is the wet gear locker, so that one doesn't get sacrificed other than for wiring. And the wiring will have to go through this wall, up through this wall, into the ceiling over here. We'll take the ceiling down. The wires have to run all the way over, down by the, actually it comes down in the wall from the fire extinguisher, down the floor, and it'll run under the floor, under here. We take this off, and then we can run all the way across the floor, up in here, over the door, all the way down, and over to this mess of breakers. So, back to here, kind of give you an idea of where the electrical's got to run. Thru-hull is down here. Oh, sorry, my thru-hull is there. My seacock is here. The hanging bar will get moved forward. This has got a board that's being epoxied right now. It will get affixed on here, and it will sit on here, and the unit will sit on here. Ductwork will then come into this cabin. I believe we're going to try to do it in this area back here, coming in, you know, back over in the corner, and try to keep as much on the side hull as we can, so that I don't have to lose hanging space here, because this is all that I have for hanging space that does me any good. We've temporarily put up a hanging space over here, which is okay, but not everything is short enough to fit up here, obviously. Not even jackets. And back there's got to go on my sewing machine and things like that when we take off next year. So got a few things to try to figure out where to go, what to do with anything that needs to hang that could be deemed nice. So we'll go from there, but we just wanted to give you a little update on the mess that we incur and have to live in while we're doing all this. It is taxing at times. And just turning some lights off as I go. Now we're going to finish up getting some cable ties done, getting the wiring done, tied up with the cable ties, the wiring for this front unit, and have a bit of lunch, and then we're going to head home for the weekend, or the rest of the week, and then come back next weekend and work on the aft one. Hopefully it doesn't take us the 3 days that we'll be here. Hopefully we can get it done and installed and up and running, and then we can put all the temporary heating units away for good. Probably keep one on the boat because, as you can see, it's been raining, so the weather's changing, obviously. And from time to time, the marina does have to turn everything off. The water gets turned off, the power goes out, and I want to have a backup heat source just in case the big units don't restart. So just trying to get it ready for winter. And took my screens off these windows. I have screens and I have these blue covers. Those are the privacy canvas. Those will go up because I enclose this all when we leave. Try to keep things a little more private, a little more warm, and less condensation in the boat. And we did get the covers on the cockpit. Rick did that since I've messed up my left knee. Can't crawl up on the cabin top to do that, so he did do that for me. Got those covers on. Once again, we have Rick on his hands and knees working on the forward saloon AC heat unit. It was working perfect when we came in last night, about 9:30, and about 11 o'clock it started making a god-awful noise, and so we shut it off. Rick got to checking it and wasn't getting any water, so we the only thing we had done when we got in was to check the strainer, which is down here in that corner right there, just to see how dirty it was, because it had ran through the week until we could get back. And he played with a couple things last night. We've been working with it this morning now for well over an hour, and still it's not pumping out any water, so it's not taking water in and it's not pumping it out, so it's not going through the impeller. So we're going through several different things looking at it, but as normal, things in the salon start bogging down with stuff everywhere. But good thing is, in the meantime, I can make my ice. Yeah, gotta have ice. Gotta have ice for my water, gotta have ice for the little cocktails, gotta have ice for maybe some injuries that Rick gets.
We're also going to need ice for the celebration after we figure out what.
Yeah, we're going to need to really celebrate after we get this thing figured out, because then we've got to go and try to get the one in the aft cabin installed. So we've taken the lines off and checked to see if we have flow without the, what do you call that little piece you put in?
The venturi.
The venturi.
Yeah.
And we do not have water there. And you did what else?
We took the supply, or the line from the pump to the unit off, and we had no flow there. We do have water when we open the seacock. It fills up the strainer, which supplies the water to the pump, and that has water.
But the pump's not pumping.
But the pump is not pumping. So I think perhaps last night when we ran it for an hour, hour and a half, without knowing that water wasn't flowing. It may have burned the pump up, but we still haven't figured out why water wasn't flowing. Unless there is a, you have to come through the seacock to the strainer to the pump to the unit, and then from the unit overboard. And so from the strainer to the pump, there was a dip in the line that came up when it made its curve. So,
but you raised that.
well, we tried, but it was after the pump wasn't working. So if that was the cause, I'm thinking that there has to be water to the pump. It won't suck it. It has to be at least a foot below the water line, and the strainer has to be below the pump. So there has to be water to the pump. If there's any air, it won't suck water.
Okay, so not sure how much you caught or how much I got recorded, but when we finally got this running, it was reading 90 degrees in here, but my windows, this one were 100% exposed to the sun, just beating in here. So I covered those up part way so you can see how it works from the outside, even though right now I have to go outside every time I want to do something. But our inside temperature said it was 73. And that's a little hard for you guys to read, but there, 73 in here, 42% humidity, and it's like 64 degrees outside. So that also reads my refrigerator and freezer temp, although I'm not sure this gauge is as accurate as it should be. I think this one is a little more accurate, so we'll just see. Right now the AC is running, and it seems like our vents like to close a little bit. So we've got it going this way, and we got it going this way, and so you can really feel it. And we'll see how long this keeps running. It is spitting water yet, so that's good. Now he's down here in the engine room working on something else. And the sanding begins on the epoxied boards for the next AC heat exchanger that we want to get put into the aft cabin. Continuation, this is going aft. So Rick's been working on figuring out the installation for this second unit. While it gets a little bit darker back here, you can see what has happened. A tornado has struck in the aft cabin. The tornado's name is Rick. Rick Dunbar, the tornado. I'm going to give you a new name. So I wanted to try to get in here, but I don't think I can. The video part of this, he is working right now on trying to get the insulation back on the outside of the hull that he forgot to put in before he installed the unit, and you just hate to uninstall it. And so that's what he's struggling with right now. But parts and pieces, and there's parts and pieces out by the galley sink, parts and pieces in here, I mean everywhere, taking the doors off, trying to just...
So if we put the strainer, we're going to put the return air here, but we have such a small area to put the pump and the strainer. We're going to put the strainer here and the pump here. So if we put this here, that takes all that out, and I don't think I can do that. So I think it's going to end up going in the door. Which is low enough, I think.
And this, folks, still has to be my hanging locker. It's the only spot on this boat we have for a hanging locker.
Or an air conditioning heating unit.
Yep, one or the other. That's it. And I need it to be both. So we'll give you a little more update as the job continues. Okay, so he's been working on this thing for quite a while. And this is what we ended up with, the configuration. Goes around through the strainer, back around to here, to the pump, up from the pump into the unit. That thing better keep us warm and cold this winter, because it's a headache. The configuration we have around here is a headache. But that gives you an idea of what he's been working on and where he's been working. But here is his disaster. It does not pay me whatsoever to even try to come back here and make heads or tails out of any of the mess that he has.
Hey man, anything to make the wife happy. Happy wife, happy life. I believe that.
Yeah, I think somebody else wanted it just as much as wifey here.
I don't think so.
I do. I do. So then I come through here and I still have more stuff. This is going to be one of the next projects. That's the sump for the shower. We'll get rid of the way it's configured right now. And then we just come back out here and, still stuff under the table, still stuff on top of the table. We still have new door handles to install. The old ones that were in here have really, I don't know where my old one is right now, but they just broke off. So we found, this is the old one. You can see how it's broke. So the screws won't hold it on. But Rick found a hardware store out of Spokane that had the new handles that look just like it, only they're a little bit wider than what the hole is. So we're going to have to go and take the router and ream this out just a little bit, but he doesn't trust me with the router and getting the measurements right, so I'll let him do that as well. That'll be another project for him. But we are slowly but surely getting things done. Now, the other part is, once we got this front unit up and running again, we had it turned on, said it was 90 degrees in here. In an earlier clip I showed you the windows that are behind me and the shade that I put up to block the thermostat from being so hot with the direct sun. It was like 90 degrees when it was 73 in here, something like that, 74, somewhere in there. So the AC was running all the time and the unit froze up. So we had to turn the unit off and let it defrost. Obviously does not have a defrost cycle, and so we turned it on to heat, let it warm up, let it defrost. Now we've just been letting it sit. So next thing is to also figure out what is going on with that. It's been a long day for Rick, actually, not so much for me. I'm just trying to clean up as we go and put things back in order, so he has some idea of where things are. and working on a few projects of my own, small things. But for the most part, I'm just here. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer today. Not much of the handyman, but sometimes that's what it takes. That's what it's got to be. It's a little after 6. Started all of this stuff about 9:30 this morning, and as you can see, Rick is still hard at it. Let me get a light on. He's still hard at it. We had to run, get another piece that for somehow got mistakenly thrown out or picked up by our workers last 3 weeks that it was in Gig Harbor in the shop getting some things done. But we're gonna end this tonight as soon as he gets this line put on. Tomorrow our plan is to run the electrical for it and keep our fingers crossed that nothing else goes on with the 16,000 BTU that we installed last week that we've had trouble with today. So hopefully that will not give us any more trouble. And while he's doing that, I am warming up some homemade minestrone soup that I did last week. There you go, folks. And there's even more yet. I have an array of crackers and assortment of things here. So as soon as he's done, I'll get that all warmed up. And we'll have us a bite of dinner. And then move on to one more small little project. And then maybe just call it a night. I don't know. By then it'll probably be 10 o'clock. So we'll sure see how it goes. 7:30 at night. And we had some dinner. And had to make a run to pick up one part. Took us about half an hour to get there and get back with the part. Got it installed. And Rick is gonna finish up some of this for the night, and then we're gonna call it good. Try to clean up some of this mess so we can get back into bed tonight. Enjoying just a little bit of wine. This is from a friend's vineyard. I don't know that you can read it. Let me go this way and see. It's out here in Wenatchee, Washington, and this one happens to be a Chardonnay from Squilchuck Winery. So Squilchuck Winery. Excuse me. Here out of Wenatchee, Washington, and John, our real good friend, he and his late wife ran the winery. This one just happens to be a really, usually I don't like Chardonnays because they're not quite sweet enough, or for me, because I like the sweeter wines. So anyway, this one for me has been perfect, and it's chilled for me, not for Rick, but you know, we're just saying here's to a day of work, and hopefully good progress for tomorrow. So cheers, everybody.